Okay, so by now you're all aware of a video that the President of the United States, Donald Trump, tweeted that appeared to give support to a elderly white male screaming white power to a protester. Uh, when I read the news article about that on Twitter, I didn't want to be yet another participant jumping on the bandwagon, screaming, Donald Trump, you're a bad man. How could you? You're not going to be president in your next term. Or just basically giving universal condemnation for his lack of judgment and lack of good taste in doing that. It's kind of a Captain Obvious duh situation where, yeah, we all know and all understand that whatever his reason was for tweeting that video and posting it, uh, it was a dumb thing to do. I mean, we didn't want to beat a dead horse here. What I wanted to do instead was to focus on the video itself, the content of the video itself. And in my reply to the news article, I argued that the video um, was a symptom of the great divide that faced Americans in these trying times. Now I'm going to bring up the my reply and I'll read it back to you. Okay, so I'm going to read to you the tweet that I made in response to the article that got a lot of hits and also got a lot of backlash. It is word for word. I'm not surprised by this. The extreme left, who egged on the riots with Black Lives Matter banners flying alongside Antifa banners, should have expected the extreme right to bunker up and double down in response. We are one whole society, not factions. All lives matter, and that's the hashtag. All lives matter. Now, I was very clear in stating in that reply, in that tweet to the news article, that I was targeting both the extreme left and the extreme right as the cause and the catalyst of this divide that we see in American politics and in American society. I was also very careful to use the prefix extreme twice to denote what aspects of the left and of the right I have an issue with and why I feel they are destructive to the conversation that we are having regarding racism and police brutality. When I talk about the extreme left, I am not talking about peaceful protesters at all. When I say the extreme left, I am not talking about those who have a legitimate concern regarding how the police interacts with the general population. When I say extreme left, I am talking about members of organizations like Antifa who believe in using violence and fear to motivate social change. This means anyone who uses riots, looting, arson, assault in order to get their way. That is unacceptable, that is illegal, that is unlawful, that is not a right at all. When I talk about the extreme right, I'm not talking about people who genuinely support the police and believe they are heroes. I am, of course, talking about white supremacists. I am talking about religious bigots. I am talking about militant gun owners who believe they have a right to own any sort of firearm they want, even military-grade firearms, and use those firearms as they see fit, regardless of what the government and what the law says. These are two very opposite, very polarizing, and very, as I said before, extreme elements of the political divide that I was talking about. Sadly, the message got lost when read by those on the left-hand side who have a very blinkered viewpoint of where they stand on social issues, to the point of not considering a central or even a center-right counter argument to consider. They accused me of two things. The first thing that I was accused of was that I was actually supporting Trump for making the tweet that contained the video, which is completely false because in my original op, I never mentioned Trump or even Trump's actions in tweeting the video. I addressed the video specifically as a point of topic to talk about. The second thing that I was accused of was that I was against the right to peacefully protest and that members of the Black community had absolutely no right to speak up and protest against police brutality and racism in a peaceful manner. The overwhelming majority of these people who expressed these two falsehoods did so using extremely vulgar language, false accusations about my character, and made fun of my skin color, my gender, the way I spoke, and my age. And they did all of this using an anonymous account and avatar. And this is the subject of today's video post and why I am making this video today. Now let me be clear about something. I have no problem with people disagreeing with what I say online or what I post in my blog. I mean, a democracy works when we have disagreement, when we have a right to hold a myriad spectrum of opinions based on our personal life experiences and our political ideology. I think it is absolutely important for a society to have many different viewpoints and to be able to share these viewpoints freely, openly in a debate. And sometimes when you debate, you get into a heated argument, and I have no problem with that. I have no problem with, people's standards getting up and getting more aggressive with their viewpoints for as long as they debate intelligently with facts, not feelings. The problem that I have is that when it denigrates or devolves down to the point of name-calling, insults, slander, lies, and being done behind an anonymous profile with a faceless avatar, there is a word that I use to describe people like that. And I have not been shy about calling these people this name. I refer to these people as cowards. Now, you might be saying to me, David, you have no right to call someone a coward. How do you know that they are a coward? Aren't you basically devolving down to their level by calling them names, such as coward, or accusing someone of cowardice? Well, to understand the position where I come from when I refer to someone like that, who uses anonymous avatars and names, who do not reveal their true faces or identities online as cowards, you have to understand what the word coward means. Now, there are many dictionary definitions for the word coward, but they all seem to stem from one fact. And that fact is anyone who is a coward is someone who has a excessive fear of confrontation, risk, danger, pain, or anything that could result in a negative response toward the person in question. That definition is very important to understand if you're going to understand why I refer to these people who post anonymously in order to attack others as cowards. Okay, let me give you a real world example of what I'm talking about. If I were to leave my room right now, leave the house, go down the street, and physically or verbally harass or assault the first person I saw, there is a risk of consequence that that person could respond in kind toward me because I'm right in front of them and I'm easily reachable, or by using my physical appearance as you see me now with my bare face hanging out and the clothing that I'm wearing and the baseball cap I have on, call the cops, and then the cops would come and have a word with me. And during that conversation, they can make a judgment call on whether or not I broke the law and I may be charged for whatever offense I've done for harassing that said person. But let's take that example and modify it a little bit. Say, for example, before leaving my room and said house, I put on a ski mask and other pieces of clothing that I could later discard, and then find the first person to harass or threaten. Assuming that I can get away from this person, which is a possibility, I could use some techniques such as blinding them with sand or kicking them in the shins and then running away. It would be much harder for the person to come at me and give me just desserts for the actions that I took towards them. Moreover, because I have concealed my identity and was able to discard whatever I was wearing during this encounter and replace it with something else, such as the clothing I'm wearing right now, it would be extremely difficult for the police to identify me. The risk factor in that encounter has dropped to almost zero. Now put this in an online world context. Whenever I say something online or make a video or write on my blog, I have my real name and face out there. And the reason why I do this is because I first believe in what I say. I have faith in my opinions and I'm willing to back them up no matter what, in debates, in any sort of discussion. But it also moderates and polices my actions very carefully so that if I say something or do something wrong, I'm accountable for it. I could be in trouble for whatever I posted, whatever video I wrote, whatever tweet I made online, in case I went past that line of, of decency. And I'm always mindful of this. I'm always careful about this because I know I'm doing that just now. I'm doing this with my face hanging out. And I know very well that when I post something, when I tweet something, when I write about something on my blog, I'm always mindful my face is out there, my real name is out there. And that keeps me in check and well behaved, as it should. We all should be kept in check and well behaved and accountable for our actions. However, if I decide to use an online profile that conceals my real name and face, it devalues my opinion that I make because I'm no longer putting my identity and my self-worth and my reputation in the things that I say and do online. It doesn't mean as much when you hear something coming from a cartoon character or a really cool gamer name. It's no longer a person you're hearing, it's a concept or a thing. Moreover, not having your identity available and accessible online means that you can act at a more base level to do things that could be harmful to others online, could even be considered illegal under the law in many countries around the world. And because you are doing this online anonymously, the chances of repercussion and retribution for said actions, as I stated before, falls to almost zero. You are in essence a ghost that is shielded from any actions that you take online. You are no longer assigned responsibility for the things that you do. Well, what example do I have of harmful acts online from behind an anonymous user and avatar? Well, let's take, for example, anarchists who preach violence and fear against local law enforcement and a duly elected government that is elected to serve the people in a civilized society. Let's talk about those people who are racist and bigots, who preach hatred toward people who follow a different faith other than their own, or are members of a visible minority or sexual orientation. Let's also talk about those people who peddle the filth that is child pornography that hurt our kids and endanger them. These are all bad acts, and they get away with this because they use online profiles that are anonymous and untraceable. They have reduced their risk factor to zero, because if they actually did these things with their real names and faces hanging out, they would be very quickly identified and going to jail. Now, this brings me back to my point as to why I refer to these people who use online profiles that are anonymous and untraceable and attack others with them as cowards. Remember my definition that I said that a coward is anyone that has an excessive overriding fear of taking risk or facing danger or receiving negative retribution for one's actions. When you use that sort of approach in negating the risk factor to do harm to those, that's, in my view, a cowardly act. You are taking an approach where you can do bad things and not face punishment for them. If you did this in the clear and you got caught for this and you got punished for this, you may be stupid for doing so, but you would no longer be considered a coward in my book, because you at least manned up and took the responsibility, fully knowing that when you said these things with your real name and face hanging out, there was going to be blowback. Getting back to the point about the post that I made regarding Donald Trump tweeting that white power video, I never deleted that tweet, even though even now I am still getting negative feedback from it. I take ownership for what I said. I stand behind what I said. I feel what I said was right. I don't regret making that tweet. And most importantly, I am taking the repercussions of that tweet with my real name and face hanging out. I don't hide from anybody. I've always challenged people that if they have a disagreement with me, my face and my name is real. You can come to me, sit down with me, debate me, and tell me why you feel what I did was wrong. And whatever blowback I get from that, I'm ready for it. I can take it. I can handle this. I was a member of the debating team when I was in college. I was debating online in the days of Usenet and FidoNet, long before the internet became an appliance for everyone to use. I was on the wild west of cyberspace in bulletin boards. I was a message board moderator for debate services. I have been probably debating people a lot longer than most people have been around. I do consider myself courageous in a way where I am quite willing to take whatever comes to me for whatever I say online, because I believe in personal accountability. I believe in being responsible for my actions. And most importantly, I believe that everyone should govern themselves accordingly through the actions they make. This includes me. That is why when you refuse to put your name and face behind what you post online and use that anonymity as a shield to hurt other people, you are running away from the risk and the consequences and the blowback for those actions. Anyone who runs away in fear from risk or danger, in my viewpoint, is a coward. And that means to those people out there who use online profiles to attack me and others just because we have a difference of opinion, you are, in my book, a coward. And if you have a problem with that label, if you want to challenge that label and prove me wrong, I am out here. I am not a tough guy. I'm not a macho man, but I don't run from anybody. As they say in Iron Maiden, these colors don't run. Thank you very much and have yourself a good day. Bye for now.